Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So now guys, the hypocrisy of these Malamis, the northerners, the hypocrisy of the Malamis, it knows no bounds. These are people, of course, that live by a double standard, and that's fair enough within their region, but of course it is not okay over the entirety of the Nigerian space. So let me cite you examples of exactly what I mean. There are laws within a lot of almost virtually the northern states which are based on their religion, and they have a force, their own religion rather led force to enforce these laws. So there are laws, for instance, in northern parts, especially places like Kano, etc., places like that. There are laws to say that a male and a female cannot ride in the same tricycle, keke napep, as they call it within the Nigerian space, to the point that these religious police or enforcement agencies, I wouldn't quite call them police, but these are religious enforcement agencies, which they call the Hisbahs. So these religious enforcement agencies, they stop people that are, even a couple, sometimes if they are riding together, they'll stop them to ask why a male and a female are riding a commercial tricycle together. This is the law. But then, of course, you will see all of these people in their luxury cars all over the place, frolicking with young girls. You've seen images of these people on aeroplanes frolicking with girls that are barely of age, and that, of course, in contrast with the laws that they've laid down. So you see these people, they have all these laws against drinking. Countless examples of them are going to like some beer parlor or some warehouse to go and destroy countless bottles of beer and alcohol. But then, of course, the beer and alcohol produced in Nigeria are taxed, and that tax goes to the federal coffers, and the majority of the federal coffers, as we know, it goes to the northern region, so they don't refuse the money. In addition, a lot of these people, they are always drunk in their own house, and when they come especially to the south, more so to Lagos, all of these people, they're all over the place, rollicking with street girls, with girls of the night, sniffing all manners of substances and drunk all the way through. So different rules for different people. As guys, I bring you this. Police arrest Kano Hisbah commander with married woman in hotel. So, of course, yet another example of this going on. This is something now that is just standard template for these people, the hypocrisy. But so, of course, if this was some other man, some random man, some average man on the street, caught in the hotel with another woman, both consenting to be there, by the way, he has not forced the woman to be in the hotel with him, and the woman has not forced, the guy to be in the hotel. Neither of them are underage, and they're both consenting to be in the hotel room together. So two consenting adults are participating in adult pursuits, as is the want of two consenting adults. But apparently, alas, this is against their belief system. So they would arrest the average person doing this, and the person that will lead that charge to arrest the average person that is doing this, again, police arrest Kano Hisbah commander with married woman in hotel. So now let's see how this hypocrisy plays out. The Kano State Police Command has arrested a senior official of the state's Hisbah board after he was allegedly caught with a married woman in a hotel. According to Freedom Radio Kano, the official was arrested in Sabongari area of the city. His name was not immediately mentioned, but he was described as only police chief when the matter featured on Freedom FM's popular magazine program in the Ranka. The arrested commander is said to be in charge of arresting beggars and prostitutes in Kano metro area. He was taken into custody after the husband of the woman with whom he was allegedly having an affair complained. According to the station, Kano Hisbah Commander Mohammed Haruna, whilst describing the incident as unfortunate, said a two-man committee had been set up to investigate the matter. Hisbah officers regularly arrest unmarried people caught in hotels, presumably for sexual activities as part of their enforcement of the Sharia. Established to enforce the Sharia, Hisbah recently banned stylish haircuts, sagging of trousers, playing off music at social events by disc jockeys, and seized tricycles from riders for adorning them with pictures considered to be obscene or against the tenets of their religion. In some states, Hisbah also banned commercial motorcycles and tricycle riders from carrying two women at a time. This was in addition to other unusual directives reeled out by the Islamic police force. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, a litany of do's and don't do's, more so the don't do's than the do's. But then, of course, the hypocrisy that is always the template of these people has once again come to bear. And this is really the example. They'll say that there are strict adherents to a particular faith following, and that is fair enough, but it is not fair enough to impose it on somebody else, because Nigeria, of course, does not have a religion. The Nigerian state does not function on the basis, at least by statute, if not by practice. By practice, of course, is completely different, but the Nigerian state by statute does not function on one basis, on rather the basis of one religion. It's functions on the understanding that there's a multiplicity of belief systems within the Nigerian space. Of course, you have the two main religions, Christianity and Islam, but then you have also native belief systems also. You even have Judaism within Nigeria, because there's some certain quarters within the Igbo sector that insist that there are Jews from Jerusalem or whatever, that is where their heritage comes from, etc. So the Nigerian constitution and the Nigerian legal structure encompasses and accommodates all this to the point that it has not hinged itself on one particular religion, and it has completely left religion out of the constitution in recognition and in respect of the fact that it is a multifaceted religious space. But of course, that multifacetedness does not apply once you cross the borders to the north, because they are a strictly religion-based sort of a community and society and section of the country. So this is where the dichotomy now lies, because of course their belief system runs contrary to the constitution, so which supersedes. So they will have it that their belief system is a stronger potency because it's a direct a lineage from God down, and that supersedes the Nigerian constitution. But the Nigerian constitution does not accept or recognize anything that sits outside of it. So them now sitting a structure outside of the Nigerian constitution is where that dichotomy lies. And this is again the language of restructuring. So now we're saying we're a one nation and anybody and everybody can live everywhere, especially more so now that is the language coming from the northern regions in defense of the activities and atrocities of the Fulani headsmen. So we have that language, but then of course everybody and anybody cannot act as they will, because as I can put my stool and chair up in front of the yard and charge up a bottle of beer and drink pepper soup or eat suya right in front of my yard, in your state or Ogun State or Anambra, etc., and nobody will molest me other than to pull up a chair next to me and say, can I join you? I cannot do that in Kano. If I opened a bottle of beer in Kano, is off with his head. So we cannot, and the Nigerian constitution acknowledges, by the way, my right and freedom to have a bottle of beer whenever I so choose. But then, of course, that doesn't apply in the northern space. So this is the dichotomy now, to the point that, you know, there's a clear demarcation now of two different countries trying to function as one, with a set of rules applicable in the southern regions and a totally an opposing set of rules applying in the northern regions. But then, of course, the set of rules that are apply in the northern regions are just boju rules, camouflage, paper rules that doesn't really have any substance, because of course the people who enforce those rules are the first people to flout it, and those rules of course apply as everything else within the Nigerian space, more so to the common man and than anybody else, and nobody else really should be than anybody else, because the rules don't at all apply to the hierarchy. They tell you to wear a mask for the C-19 pandemic, and we see photographs of Buhari in a crowd not wearing masks. They say social distancing, and you see them at funeral of Abakari huddled together with not an inch between the man to the next man. So different sort of rules and different sort of applications of the rules, with this being yet another example that makes that point. Come share thought about all this with me in the comment section, but before you come into the comment section to engage, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. The bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Click on like as well, because that helps with the YouTube algorithm. Once you've done all the clickings, the hypocrisy in the north is what we're talking about, and the dichotomous relationship or the dichotomous existence between the northern regions and the southern regions, to the point that is effectively running as two countries merged into one, is what I am inviting our conversation on. So I'll leave you here. Carry this conversation on with you in the comment section, but here I say peace.